Hello pianists, welcome to part 2 of how to play Moonlit Shores with beauty and ease. In part 1, I went through a systematic approach of how to actually just play the piece. I went through note reading, we did some reduction practice of the left hand intervals and the right hand triad. So check that video out first. You want to have the notes very secure in your hands before we add the choreography today that I'll coach you through. I'm going to show you a demonstration in just a moment, but first let's discuss, why do you play with these proper kind of techniques in the first place? People often mistakenly think that I only play the piano with my fingers. But there's only so much strength within the fingers. The fingers are really just the point of contact with the keys. Think about this all as one playing unit. You have your fingers and your flexible wrist we'll work on today. You have this forearm. We've talked about forearm rotation in another video. All of the strength from your biceps and the muscles in your back work together to produce a beautiful tone at the piano. If you only play with the fingers, let me just demonstrate that. I want you to hear how the tone is going to be different from the good demonstration in just a moment. Here's fingers only. Actually, after just playing that, I already can feel my wrist flexors getting tight back into my forearms because it's just my fingers trying to do the job. You also heard the tone as you compare it to the good demonstration in a moment is very weak. I cannot add many dynamics from that, cannot play expressively as well. So it gives us dynamic expression, lets me play at ease so I can have a more beautiful tone. It lets the hammers strike the strings so they create more resonance that your piano can sing with. As I play, I want you to carefully watch the direction of the notes. In the left hand, there's a series of ascending intervals. Watch how my wrist is moving. In my right hand, you should see some circular motions as I go under away from my body and I go over towards my body. Stay tuned. I'm going to teach you carefully how to add these techniques into your playing. Now that you've heard that demonstration, let's talk about how to add these kind of techniques to a piece like this and to really any kind of piece, because these are just general concepts. The idea is that when I go towards my body in my left hand, it'll be an over motion. The right hand is a mirror image, so when the right hand goes towards the body, it's an over motion as well. As I go away from my body, under circles, or like you're tracing an oval. So I would even just practice in a C5 finger scale without even playing, just getting used to flexible wrists. This is the default hand position, but when I used wrist circles, it will be going below and above. That will incorporate, you should feel your elbows going out, your forearms being used. You can try it on 5 finger scales if you start on your thumbs. Exaggerate the motions at first. Our body first learns with larger motions, and then as you become more advanced, you can play these faster. They become more fine-tuned and very efficient. So this piece uses all of these patterns of ascending and descending notes. It doesn't have any kind of forearm rotation, which you'll learn in Fur-Elise, where those notes are quickly changing direction. That's when I engage right and left with that forearm moving. This will be all circular types of motions. So let's get into the left hand. So remember that we should have our arm and our wrist all aligned behind that 5 if I have to play a 5 finger, which every downbeat starts with a 5th finger. I'm going to have a feeling of rolling over, trace that oval. Let's also talk about how to avoid striking that 5 finger too percussively. If you've ever played baseball, if you've ever golfed, there's that preparatory motion of swinging back and then following through. Think about that in the left hand. I have an under motion. I can distribute that weight to that over motion. It will help me avoid playing that too loud. Just try that in that left hand by itself. Over, preparatory, under, over. And you might feel that you're losing your sense of hand position as you do this. That is where that reduction practice is incredibly helpful. If you practice blocking these, you're going to internalize kinesthetically how does that interval feel, and you'll know how to span that up without having to keep your fingers on the actual keys to play that correctly. All right, pianists, let's move into the right hand motions. If we look at measure 1, the notes are ascending or moving away from the body. So I'm going to have a feeling of circling under, up to that 5 finger. You could even pause there. Is your arm aligned correctly behind your finger as it goes back towards the body? Over. That might feel a little constricted in front of your body to play it that way. Remember, hand in number 1, we moved our hands up an octave. That way you can feel to the side of your body. You can even just practice those motions to get that flexibility comfortable. Remember to go down and go over. Exaggerate your motions to start to set how it feels to play that way. Just get your wrist moving out of that default level hand position, which you'll save more for forearm rotation. And then you can add the notes under. You can even just pause and say, let me just work on the under first. Over, under. And then you can put those 2 motions together where it feels like a circle. Under. You'll listen that as I get more of my arm in there to that 5 finger, the phrase goal. So using these kind of wrist circles will help you play with that beautiful dynamic expression, lets you avoid becoming tired or fatigued, which can cause injuries. That's the general idea of the right hand wrist circles of under and over. The one exception would be a 4 measure phrase from measure 9 to 12, where the right hand is going to go over as we go towards the body. So over, under, over. Gentle roll off with that thumb, keep it high so it's not loud. Over, under, scoop over. So that transfer of energy lets me avoid striking too hard in any one key. And then at measure 13 it goes back to under, over, over. Measure 15, over, under, roll off. Over, under, over, under. Measure 19. Those roll-offs lets me release that note gently, lets the dampers of the piano come back gently on the strings, doesn't cut off the sound too quickly. The only other motions in this piece would be the last 2 measures, which are 6, but we'll still have that preparatory drop from above the key and roll off so it's not too heavy. If I just only play this, it'll be really percussive, out of character for this piece. So I have a preparatory down. Let me try that again. Down, roll off. I'm still even working on these techniques, pianists. Down, roll off. Lets me distribute that weight. So in summary, feeling at ease lets my sound come out at ease with lots of expression. If I play with just the fingers, I'm going to feel tense and my sound will be that way. It'll be percussive and shallow and tense as well. So those arm circles lets me incorporate micro and macro dynamic expression because I have the strength of my arms to make notes louder, especially on those 5 fingers. Again, it makes the strings get struck a little heavier with those hammers so you have more resonance and ring from your piano. Lets you pull back to create a lighter sound. A large range of dynamics is capable when you use your arm weight in that manner. And you probably will find that this choreography is maybe different than yours if you've never tried it before. Try it out, be patient with it. If you don't like that sense of losing your hand position, go back to reduction practice to automatize those intervals so you can trust it, that you can go over and under as you play this piece. Remember, piano is a lifelong endeavor, so be patient with this process. Try it out. Watch for these kind of note patterns to add it to other type of music like the Bach prelude. There's lots of pieces that use these kind of motions. Be patient. This is a process. Go very slow to learn these techniques to begin. Remember, piano is a lifelong endeavor, so enjoy the journey.